talking about Windows 7. A lot of us out in the field are hearing some things about what's going on. You know, Microsoft will be releasing a beta version of Windows 7 at the PDC later this month, and I think we're going to definitely hear a whole lot more about it. So we just want to talk about this road to Windows 7 and what it is that you may be hearing about a lot of in the near future. Now, the first question comes, what is Windows 7? Well, Windows 7 is codenamed Vienna from Microsoft, and Vienna, you know, kind of follows that suit where Microsoft kind of gives all their code names based after large cities and so forth. But Vienna is really, could be considered you could actually look at it two different ways. Depending on who you talk to, it could be considered, certainly one part of Microsoft is saying, well, this is a major upgrade to Vista. But when you listen to some of the comments made by the engineering groups within Microsoft, it's more of an evolutionary upgrade of Vista. So is it a major or minor release? Well, you can make an argument either way, but Microsoft officially saying there's going to be a lot of new features in Windows 7 in Vienna. Engineering group says, well, we're going to retain a lot of things like the Windows driver model is going to stay the same. We're going to have an evolutionary version of the kernel in Windows 7. So it kind of depends on which side of Microsoft you're really listening to. And I try to read everything that I can on Windows 7. And what I'm seeing is that it's really kind of a major/minor upgrade. You know, just kind of going through it, for example, what will it even be called? You know, will they call it Windows 7? What will they call it? It would not surprise me that, they may end up calling it Vista R2, Release 2. I don't know, but it is definitely going to be the successor to Windows. To Vista. It's not going to be a service pack, in my opinion. It's not going to be. You're not going to get a free upgrade when 7 comes along. So let's just kind of talk a little bit about some of the differences. So like I said, what makes it a minor release is, okay, Microsoft is saying we're keeping the drivers so that everything kind of works. You won't have a problem making that upgrade from Vista to Windows 7 like you did before. Things like memory management, networking, all that sort of thing will be evolutionary upgrades as opposed to a major overhaul. The kernel will be a evolutionary upgrade of the kernel. So all the oily bits of Windows, if you will probably be enhanced and upgraded, but not necessarily replaced with brand new versions. So that was one of the big problems that Microsoft, if you remember, ran into when Vista was released, was that a lot of peripherals just wouldn't stop working. You know, scanners, printers, this sort of thing. A lot of them just did not work under Vista when it was released. Well, Microsoft doesn't want to repeat that mistake. Okay, they do not want to repeat that mistake. Therefore, they're going to keep that same driver model. Things like security hardening, all that are going to stay in place. So you have a much more higher level of compatibility with Windows 7 than you do have than what you had going from XP to Vista. Microsoft says there's going to be a lot of new features. You know, one of the things we've been hearing about is the multi-touch interface. That's going to be great for people using tablet PCs. I don't think that I've got a Mac over here with a 24-inch monitor. We're going to be ordering a new 22-incher over here on dual monitors. I don't necessarily want to put my greasy fingers on my brand new monitors in order to use multi-touch. I don't know. I've looked at it and played around with a little bit about it. I think it's kind of overrated, but maybe that's some other people's opinions. But yeah, I don't see that as being a must-have type of feature. One thing I think that we're going to see, though, in the interface, in the shell improvements, if you will, of Vista, is going to be, if you haven't tried Windows Live, and the applications that come there. Microsoft recently released Wave 3, and you're gonna, if you don't like the ribbon interface in Office, you may not like Windows 7. It looks like Microsoft may very well bring the ribbon into things like Explorer, Windows Explorer. So, you know, I think they're very much hooked on this whole ribbon interface kind of thing. You know, when Microsoft does a client and a server version of the OS, what they tend to do is start off with the same code base, and then they fork it off. We're going to make a lot of changes under the hood for the client version. We make these changes to the server version, and then we may recombine these back to this common code base at a later time. That's really not going to be the case with Windows 7. It's not going to be forked, if you will. Rather, it's going to come from the same tree, and they're just going to add on what they need to on it and ship it out. So essentially, when Windows 7 is released, that would be Service Pack 2, or released, I should say, R2 of Windows Server 2008. Now, one of the questions is, will Windows 7 be 32-bit, or will we have to go to 64-bit? And it's my understanding that Windows 7 will offer a 32 and 64-bit version of the OS. Now, interestingly enough, R2 of Windows Server 2008 will be 64-bit only. Right now, Windows Server 2008 is available to 32 and 64-bit version, but once R2 of 2008 comes out, you know, it's strictly going to be 64-bit OSs at that point. So, you know, so there's still some good news out there that, you know, there'll be you know, I've got a 64-bit capable machine here, but I'm running the 32-bit version of Vista Ultimate on that machine right now. So that's all good to know that that's what's kind of going on right there. So it's going to be available. Windows 7 will be available in the 32-bit version or a 64-bit version. Windows Server 2008 will be available in 32 or 64-bit. It is available right now in that versions. But once Service Pack, or I'm sorry, R2 is released, it'll be 64-bit only at that point. So now one of the questions is, well, when do you anticipate Windows 7 shipping? There's a lot of stories. The official answer is, you know, in early 2010. That's what Microsoft is saying officially. But I think, you know, by extending XP another 6 more months, a lot of kind of testers out there right now saying that the builds they're getting of Windows 7 right now, Vienna, are really, really good. Not nearly as buggy, much more ready to roll than what Vista was during its early beta process. I think Microsoft is really pushing, when that XP expires, to possibly be ramped up to start to do the gold release of Windows 7. I think that we're going to be in for a little bit of a surprise. Microsoft is going to have the successor to Vista ready to roll. I predict probably by third quarter Q3 of 2009. I think it'll certainly be released to the businesses, just like they did with Vista. I think business will get their hands on that on Windows 7 before it's then retail versions are sent out to the stores. But yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. I think that's exactly what they're up to over in Redmond. I wouldn't be surprised about that as all. So I would look for a mid to third quarter release of Windows 7 at this time.